Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our webinar. We would like to show you today how modern IT solution can help in optimal implementation of changes. We'll focus on regulatory ones, however, it will be adequate to every change that we are going to implement in IT systems. My name is Michał Lisiecki. I'm responsible for a unit in Outcome Software that is performing projects for our customers, especially in the process automation area and low code platform. And together with me is Jan Puc.
Hello, I'm an analyst. Yep.
So Janek is a business analyst who works as day by day on this project, and we'll show you some demo on the end of this webinar. Why we want to talk about these issues and why we dare to talk about it. We have over 20 years of experience in the realization of IT projects, including financial industry. And often during the projects, we help our customers to implement regulatory changes. Hence, we know their specificity, especially great time pressure and blend requirements. So this is just a simple slide of most biggest customers we already work with. And going into the topic. And as an introduction, I would like to present you some findings from the report prepared for the European Commission that shows the cost of the implementation of regulatory changes. This report can be accessed by internet if someone is interested, and the link will be shown on the next slide. And on the right part of this slide, you can see regulations which were taken into account in order to prepare this report. This report was prepared by making surveying more than 150 companies from Europe. And there were a lot of questions regarding implementation of this regulations directives, and the data has been gathered and presented to UE. So few findings. According to the report, implementation only of these directives regulations that were shown on the previous slides has cost about 3 billion euro. And as you can see, almost 30% of this amount has been spent on implementation in IT systems. So it's about 1 billion euro. And if you include, let's say, half of project management part, because it's also the part of IT implementation, you can end up roughly with 1.5 billion euro spent on IT area. So this is quite a large cost factor of implementing these changes. And what's more, you can find companies some information that regulatory requirements consumes about average of 10% of IT budgets. And there are also places where it reaches even 20%. So you can see that it's worth to investigate solutions that will help you to do these changes more effectively, especially that we do not anticipate that the amount of this type of changes should significantly decrease. Especially we can mention DORA regulation that is coming. So going a little bit to the topic, when you implement any change in company in IT systems, you see some general challenges like this. First of all, in traditional IT system process are usually hard-coded. The cost of introducing changes is then quite high because you have to recode something and test it and sometimes recode because change requirements has changed. Such process limits the IT capacity available for business development And I often met with, when working with customers on as a development director in some financial institution, with a situation when the regulatory requirements were not well defined at the beginning, and there were fields for legal or business interpretations. So corresponding IT system should be prepared for this variability of requirements and to be ready to modify implementation quite quickly. So going further, let's see, I try to divide some general areas when you have to touch, which we have to touch if implementing the changes, not only regulatory, but every probably. So this is two general aspects, the data and business process. The data you have to store, you have to analyze, you have to verify the data that are going to be input in the process. You have to visualize, you have to report. Sometimes there is data auditing required. And also in business process area, you have to sometimes introduce new process, but most frequent situation, you have to change existing one and acquire data to the process and use this data in the process. Today, we will focus on almost all of these aspects of implementation of changes, regulatory changes, besides, apart from analytics, because this is a topic for another webinar. So, how to deal with these changes? And what we currently use in our project in order to make it more effective, we use the low-code approach platform for process automation and the web forms generator for the end customers forms generation. Thanks to low-code approach, we have greater immunity and we can answer faster to the changes in the requirements. What is also important, it enables close cooperation between business and IT, people from business and IT department, because we work with the help of, let's say, symbols, images, or easy understandable graphics that shows the process. So the feedback can be gathered really fast, and the business people are see the effect quite quickly. We use the BPM language here. And also the same in the case of web forms creation, which are the most popular in gathering the information to the processes. So the biggest advantage of this is the ability to present the web form to the product owner or to the business owner, and to get the comments, the feedback quite fast and make changes without coding. So it's almost a live process when a business analyst or business product owner can sit together with a developer and design and deploy the web form. There are also some additional advantages of this approach, like you have already made data validation rules. Also, if you have automated the business process, you have interesting problems solved out, like to deal with already launched cases of customers. Thanks to the automation of the process, we can decide which cases and at what moment at time will go to the new version of a process and will require new data to be put by a customer, and which cases will be completed in the previous condition. So in other words, we can migrate customers without influencing them, and then without losing the already ongoing, for example, sales processes on your platform. So it's almost zero downtime deployment. Of course, such advantages like addressing security challenges. So for example, using low-code approach, we limit the freedom of developers. So they maybe sometimes don't like it, but we limit this freedom of developers, in example, in the field of customer session management. So we limit the areas for cyber attacks in that way. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Sorry for. Sorry, I probably missed one slide. So using this approach I was talking about just before, give us real effects in real project we are doing for our customers. And I just to show you the output, I just want to show you two cases. One was the implementation of government aid that we done for one of the Polish bank during COVID-19 pandemic. So in order to deliver solution for government help for entrepreneurs, financial help given by government, we reuse of existing processes with slight modification. We generate some new web forms just to modify the web forms that were already used by customers. And together the implementation time of this process was about 38 hours. In our second customer, when there was some requirements given by our national regulatory authority, we just simply add some new fields to the web form, and Janek will show you how to do it quickly. We modify the process, and also the data model behind the fields that we already done was automatically delivered. So the implementation of this particular requirement, I don't know, it has taken about a few hours. So this is the platform I was talking about, our digital product center. I will not go into detail, as Janek will show you the demo of the platform in just few minutes. However, what I would like to underline there are three, let's say, features that are the most important. First is that all web forms can be generated and designed in the WYSIWYG mode. So you don't have to do the coding, wait for the coding developer and see the results. You see the results already working together with the people that is using our generator. The second, the same is to the business process. You design the process using some language that is quite understandable for business people, and deploying this process to the engine. We are using Camunda engine in that case. And the third feature is that this platform is easily integrated with another already existing systems like e-commerce, self-care, or back office systems. So you don't have to change the systems. This is just the platform that gives you the possibility to quickly adapt your ecosystem to the requirement. So now it's time to show you a quick demo about our platform, and I give the floor to Janek.
Thank you. Hello again, everybody. I see, Mari, that you are raising your hand for quite a time. Do you have a question? No. Okay. Can't hear you.
I propose to address the question on the end, Janek, maybe. So just put on the chat the question, please, and we address it on the Q&A session on the end of our presentation.
Okay, so to give you a glimpse of the capabilities of our solution, I shall make a short demonstration in 4 steps. First, actually, I will show you the few steps of a sample application form. Called Camunda Control Center. And next, I'll modify one of the existing forms. And then I will add a completely new step to the process and add a new form to this new step. And finally, we'll see if it works on production. I'll take the screen in a second. Although you can see my screen, and this is the first screen of our application. So I'll fill a form. Sorry, We are on a webinar. Mhm. Required consent. So I filled in the first step to restart it. It's regular. I've been waiting too long and the application has gone and it expired. Okay, now it should work. Right. To the Camunda Control Center and let's see our process. I've been logged out everywhere. We've talked too long, Nico. So let's choose our process. And what we can see here is, this is the BPMN notation. I guess most of you are familiar with BPMN, but this is the language that both business and developers use for designing the process. These are so-called user tasks, and they represent the forms, the screens that the user sees. These are other types of tasks. They are technical tasks. We won't touch them today. As you can see, this process is quite simple, and the main part for a prospect customer are these 6, or actually 7 pages. I won't get you bored looking at each of them carefully. I just want you to show that we have now in the process 2 instances active on this step and 4 on this step. This helps us to, for example, analyze if we have some bottlenecks in our process. If we choose, I can filter only these instances that are on this screen precisely, and I can see, okay, it's 3:15, so this is my new patient. I can check it. I check the variables, and here is my surname webinar, so it's all right. Okay, let's go back. Let's imagine that I need to put some special data. So just give me a few moments. Step is when we scan of our ID. Step, I need to add my address. I can add also a different address, of course, for delivery and for mailing. And I have additional data. Okay, that's enough. So let's go back to the question. What happens when, for example, a regulatory institution applies a new law that we need to collect, for example, the date of starting a business activity, or to collect the sex of the client. To do this, I'll propose you just to first add a simple field on the first screen. First screen we saw, which was, to remind you, so this is my contact data. What I would like to add here is to add my title, if I'm Mr. or Mrs. So to do this, I will use a dashboard, DPC, which has several parts. We'll focus only on 2 models today. One is BPMN management, and the second one is a forms management. BPMN management, let's have a glimpse look, is the one that allows me to modify the diagram in BPMN using a Camunda modeler online. And the second part is a forms management. It's called formulator. Okay, what I need to know which screen I'd like to modify. Okay, so this is this form, contact data. So I go to forms management, I search for contact data, and I open a preview to be sure that I'm modifying the right form. Yes, that's the one I wanted to modify. Okay, let's do it. Let's find first the part, the grid that I want to modify. Here we have the section where there are the fields, first name, surname. So I want to add the new control here. What kind of control should I add? My suggestion is a drop down. It's like a select, and so that I just give a closed list, an enumerator of all options that a customer can choose from. Then we need to configure. Okay, so I give a name for the variable that will keep the value that the customer selected. Test ID, you may fill or not, it doesn't matter, it's just for automated tests. Okay, advanced, label, it's very important. Your title to put a good label. And for empty, for no choice, I'll give a so-called select label. And I need to add the positions for the enumerator, right? All the values that are possible to choose from. So first I need add Miss or Mrs. And second choice will be Mr. And that's all for now. One last thing, I want this field to be mandatory. So on submit, I'll add a validation. We have a certain list of validators, validations available out of the box. Of course, you can add your own. And I just change the error message and apply. Okay, one last thing. Let's see if we have our field here. Takes a minute. Yes, it appeared here, but it's on the bottom. For me, it would be more elegant to put it on the top. So I need to rearrange the fields and right to the top. Okay. So once again, let's reload it. And here we are. We have our new field added. Okay. So I click save. Yes. Start a new application. Here we are. We are live in production with our new field, which is mandatory if I go. Okay, what I want to show you next, this was quite simple to add a new field. More complicated stuff is when we want to add a completely new step. To do this first, we need to modify the process itself. We've seen it already, so let's open our diagram. And for the purpose of this demonstration, I prepared a step when we collect just a few data about the client's liabilities. How much does he own? How many persons are in his household? Stuff like that. So I wanted to put it on a separate form, not to make the screens look too terrifying for the customer. Logically, I would put this step in a 5th place, for example, but for the purpose of this demonstration, not to show you once again the whole process, I'll put it just after the screen of the contact data. So first, I need a space, a small space, to put a new screen. Then I add a new step and change it to a user task. I give it a name. What I need to add, this is a part of programming. I'm just kidding. It's just Control C, Control V, but it's, sometimes nowadays mostly what's programming is all about. And task listener creates, we need to change it to delegate expression. And yes, here we are. But what I need more is, again, finally, is the ID of the screen I want to attach to this step in the process, okay? So let's have a look at the screen I prepared. How did I do it? It took me like, 20 minutes. I just copied one of the existing forms and modified it. And here you have a new screen with 4 new fields. 3 of them are selects, 1 of them is an input. And what I need to do is to copy the ID. This form key actually. Okay, and save a new version. Let's start a new application and see if we can see the new stuff. It's something wrong with this control. Finish the list. No. Wrong, sorry. So I just removed the validation. I must have done something wrong. Please forgive me. I know, I didn't save the changes. That's the problem, as always. Using save sometimes helps. And here we are. We have our new form already in processing in production. So in, I don't know, like 15 minutes, I've been able to modify one of the existing sets and steps and adding completely new one. Of course, except the part of preparing this new form. But as I told you, it was another 15 minutes. I just didn't want to do it live. It's not what I do on a daily basis, and I didn't want to waste your time. Okay, so this ends up my demonstration. I think now we can move to the Q&A part. So, do you have any questions? Michael, not the screen. Second. Okay.
Okay. So we are in Q&A mode now. Do we have any question?
Is anybody listening? Okay, who can hear me? Please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, so we
Not
can
bad.
hear. So I think the presentation was quite good. So that's why there are no questions. Let's wait a few minutes.
Rather compact.
So if there is no questions, we invite you to contact with us. We just show you a little, really small amount of the features that our product DPC is able to, and how to address the regulatory changes, and also any changes that you want to implement. We really recommend to use this low code approach in your companies, as it saves a lot of time and as always a lot of money, because time is money today. What's more, for me, from my personal view, it gives a lot of fun to teams, because they can cooperate together. So the business people and IT people can sit together and work on the solutions and see the results really fast. So this means that the feedback is also received by the IT very fast.
What you could see, there are many activities that the business itself can achieve by configuring in dashboard, for example. So it doesn't have to bother the IT guys, which are most of the time very occupied, and their free time is probably next quarter or 2 quarters ahead. So simple stuff like modifying the labels, modifying the tooltips, the content, as I showed you, adding just a new field and implementing it on a form. These are usually simple tasks for developers, but they are time consuming to develop it, to deploy it, to test it, to implement it. When you have a low-code solution, you can deploy it just as you saw on my demonstration in a moment, and it doesn't require the developers' work.
Yeah.
So it was nice to have you here today.
Yeah, we hope you will contact us to have deeper talks about our solutions, and have a good afternoon.
Those of you who are in our time zone.
Yeah, of course, Janek. You see, this is a business analyst. Takes all the aspects into
Thank you.
account.